Okay, I think we started. Welcome, everyone. This is our first episode of Married Minds, and we will talk about connections between history and leadership. And I have my series partner, Dr. Kohn, or should I call you my husband or sweetie?
And all of the above. It's fine, honey.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to do this series with me. Um, and I am coming from leadership field, and Ted is historian. So although sometimes history sounds like a boring topic, it is very important for leaders to know and to understand what's happened in the history so they can use this knowledge to create more effective leadership practices. But today we will talk about a very specific historical period, which is prehistorical period, and we will talk about two um, important or impactful incidents happened to humans, and these incidents affected their leadership mindset. So each of us pick one incident which we don't know which one we picked. So it will be surprise for us, and also it is important for a healthy marriage, right? You need to surprise your partner, no?
Do you want lots of surprises in a relationship? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so we can decide
Okay.
after this episode. So I just want to start with asking a couple questions to you as a good host.
hmm
So why did you become historian? Because sometimes you share things, with us, with your
hmm
family, with me and my kids. Oh, look at this. This is so fun. And we said, what is it? And it's kind of boring, but it really excites you to read about history or to discover new resources. So why did you become a historian?
I mean, I think like probably a lot of us who went further in school, I had inspiring teachers when I was young, but it's also I like the fact that history is storytelling. It's the most interesting story ever. You literally can't make the things up, and they're real. And it's so dramatic, and it shapes the world we live in. So it's hard to imagine um, being a leader and not understanding history. We are our history.
Yeah, good. So you like stories and you like storytelling. And I remember you used to read and tell stories to our kids when they were young and they really enjoy and they start their own
Mhm.
stories, right? So, yeah, and you just mentioned a little bit, but why should leaders know about history? Why they should learn more about history? Because
Mhm.
it's kind of in the past, right? Why we have to be aware of the past events,
Mhm.
which sometimes we talk about, oh, leadership is all about like future,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean, it's too easy an answer to say, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Mm.
Because actually, I think people who are even very aware of their history kind of
Yeah,
choose to repeat
yeah.
things, even if they're bad things. But like I said, it's kind of like turning the great man theory of history on its head, right? Oh, one man can make a difference, and one man can shape history and can shape society, when really, aren't there so many complex economic, social, political, foreign policy, religious, cultural things that actually shape that history and the leaders that emerge out of it. So it's not as if you could take, you know, um, Franklin Roosevelt and put him in during the Civil War, and take Abraham Lincoln and take him from the Civil War and put him in World War II, and they'd be the same great leaders, right? Clearly, they emerge from their time, and so I think that's always the question, right? Do the great leaders shape their time, or does the time, the era, shape the great leaders?
Yeah, I think I will choose the later. I think, yeah, I think social interactions and social mindset and
hmm
all this, like what people want to see
Right.
in their leaders.
Right. They
I think,
reflect
yeah,
the
yeah.
larger things that are going on. And I think that's true even like in authoritarian regimes or with presidents. You think, oh, this person has absolute power. So that translates into leadership. But even authoritarian leaders have to deal with elites and economics and social and religious issues. So I agree.
Yeah, sometimes I ask my students, okay, who do you think are the real leaders, followers
Mhm.
or the leader? So sometimes I think groups, and we call like all these people like followers, I think they have more power on leaders than the leaders.
Mhm.
But when we read history, it is always like, oh yeah, one person, one individual created all this impact and changed everything, but we don't see the all the reasons behind that leadership practice. Yeah. So again, like we are talking about history, but when did human history started? When we say historical periods or historical times, why we are using that term? What happened? And we said, okay, human history has started
Mhm.
this minute with this incident. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the dawn of writing. So, when you take world history, often the first thing you'll start with is, Hammurabi's code. Coming from, the Euphrates era, the first time we have a record of people putting down laws. So you're talking about like shaping society, shaping politics, right? Somebody writing down a code, right? A code of conduct for a society, which shows that there was a society and some kind of cohesive culture. So I think, the Rosetta Stone and going on from there, the first time people that we have a record of, at least, putting things down in some kind of writing, which is a huge evolution in itself, to go from simply, passing things along, through an oral tradition, and the idea that, well, no, this needs to be preserved. It literally needs to be etched in stone, which is how they did that. And that's why we still have records of these things, thousands of years later, because they thought these things were important enough to etch them in stone.
Mhm. Yeah, and when we say prehistorical time, what we are trying to refer.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of more, I would say, is more of a tribal time, before there's written history, before maybe you have agriculture, which leads to a division of labor, which allows different classes, including perhaps, an educated class, to emerge that can develop writing, that can study, that can spend time, not out in the fields, or hunting and gathering, I guess, but actually in a single settled place, which allows these kind of civilized advances to take place.
Like that cartoon, right? The movie we used to watch with kids, Ice Age.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
think we are
Yeah,
referring that
right.
times like people are still trying to figure out how
Yeah,
to
they're nomadic,
yeah,
right?
how
They
to deal with
they
the climate.
right.
Yeah.
So they move based on seasons and the weather. They know where the animals are going to be, and so that's their food. So they chase after the food instead of being settled, and the food is always there. And then you can start building a community, and you can start having leaders, and start having a culture, and you can start having laws, right? That govern people's conduct.
Yeah, probably if we go back those times, like as a time traveler, and we ask them, "Oh, who's your leader?" Probably they wouldn't understand what we mean when we say leader, right? Leadership and being a leader probably is really, really different.
I'm sure.
But at the same time, because our genetics are almost, because our evaluation is like so slow, probably all the emotions are same, the important things to survive, right, they are same, and also interaction among humans, individuals are same. So probably there are some similar ideas about um, like leading groups, or like other people, because family, it was very important those times. And you mentioned like great man theory. I think we can start talking about that in these times, but it is more like when you see a more like civilized groups, and when people have like cities and everything. But yeah, I think we can start talking about one person as almost holy,
Hmm.
right? And that person has so many almost like magical skills and abilities, because survival is the most important thing in prehistorical times
Hmm.
for people. And then if they don't believe that you are strong enough, you are powerful enough to help them to survive, then you wouldn't have any authority as
Hmm.
a leader. So what comes to your mind in terms of, oh yeah, one thing humans understood or
Hmm.
like figure out, and it really impacted how they interact to each other in terms of leadership?
Well, it's actually what you just mentioned. I do the belief in magic, or that there's unseen
Mhm.
forces. Obviously, that translates for the next 10,000 years into religion, right? You think
Mhm.
about the role of religion over the past 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 years, and then the emergence of somebody recognized in a tribe, even a nomadic tribe, as a kind of shaman, right? As somebody who can see to the other side, or who can heal people, or who can make it rain, or who can ensure that the bison are where they're supposed
Mhm.
to be. So the idea that somehow someone is recognized in the tribe or the community as a person who can kind of pierce the veil, and people trust that that person has kind of a special relationship with magic or spirits or the
Mhm.
gods.
Yeah, we will talk about ancient,
Mhm.
like imperial time next Wednesday. But yeah, magic, like it's has started in this time, but it's like still, I think, in
Yeah.
our modern world, still we have maybe we changed the concept of it, but still we are looking for some kind of unexplainable. I don't know if there's a word
No,
like that,
there
like
we yeah,
to
there's
get help,
right.
right?
There's still a lot that's unexplained, and
Mhm.
we live in a world where we seek meaning in things that maybe are random or meaningless. And so, I mean, I think that's there. I mean, talk about. I think there's a real continuity with the human experience, going back to
Mhm.
those prehistory times. We all want to we are the most advanced animal, and so we ask that next question. Why are we here? Why
Mhm.
are things like that? And we gravitate to the people who can give us those answers. And I think 10,000 years ago, that was probably shaman, magic men, sorcerers, and I think religion has devolved from that.
Mhm. So, but when we look at the history, when we read like stories, as you mentioned in the beginning, we don't see like magician
Hmm.
becomes leaders. They are always kind of a supporter of a leader, right?
Right.
There's like one very like a charismatic,
Or strong,
yeah,
yeah.
strong, but they need to have magician or
Right.
like someone like coming from the other life skill, and also some kind of soldier or army,
Yeah.
right? So there are like always we see this triangle, right? One is very strong in terms of muscle. They don't have to be really smart, but they need to have some kind of magician. It will transform to religion in the
Hmm.
future, right? And also some kind of a warrior next to each other, right? So almost like it's a three different skills,
Hmm.
but you have to have one strong person. So why, if magic is so important and magicians are kind of a source of answers for unexplained, why we don't have any magician leaders, but we have like a muscle
Yeah.
like strong.
Because I think you kind of mentioned it, because I think it's about power and food and territory, and I don't think the shaman or the magician or the sorcerer, or later the priest or the bishop, can give those
Mhm.
things. They can be very powerful partners to the person who is either the strongest hunter, in the tribe, or later the person who can marshal the most resources, including food and territory and soldiers. But they're not uh, you can't eat faith, right? You eat bread. So that's not what the sorcerer, the shaman, or the magician is providing. They have a kind of invisible power, not the real tangible power that the strongest guy in the tribe or the king of a country has.
So, or maybe they don't really like leading other people. They weren't interested.
Or maybe, yeah, or maybe they can use the power as like a person behind the scenes, like the person behind the throne, right? Who can manipulate and say, now is the time to plant the harvest. Now is the time to go to war, right? Oh, let's check what the bones say, and all the planets are lining up in your favor. So now is the time to attack your neighbor. So maybe that's the power that they wield, the more kind of subtle behind the scenes power, not the guy with a sword, fighting a war.
Yeah, and also having that responsibility, right? Maybe it was not really fun if someone could, oh, you made a wrong decision, right? But if you are just helping the leader,
right, it's still the leader's responsibility.
Yeah.
Could be.
So you can be like, if you don't make the leader angry or something, then you can leave and you can have all the good things, but something bad happens, it's the leader's responsibility. And all the examples you were giving, and I bet like if our viewers following all the like different ideas we are discussing now, I am sure most of them will think like men when we talk about warrior, right? The image of man, or magician, again, like all this like popular like movies or TV series like Merlin, right? Also a leader, man. So I picked something to highlight this mindset, because what happened, and men have become such a dominant in this almost, I think, still in our current time, all the women are fighting so much for their rights. Most of the historical periods, men are the most powerful figure as a leader and also as a social leader. So I picked the moment that men said, "Ah, wait a minute, what's happening?" Like aha moment, right? uh, when they figured out that they have a part in reproduction. Because when we look at all the artifacts, like in caves, or when we dig and see, like find new things about humanity in prehistorical times, we see that in the beginning, women are more powerful. They were seen almost as like having kind of a holy power, because they could give a birth. So first, men and also women, they think that, oh my God, women are producing babies like gods, right? So they must be very powerful. And I think the minute men realize that, oh, wait a minute, women cannot do this without our help, I will say help, then it changed everything. Because they thought it is kind of maybe 50-50. Then they switched the story. As you said, history is like telling a story. Then they created their own narrative, and suddenly men position themselves. They have everything to have babies and for the reproduction. And suddenly leadership mindset was dominated by men. They became the leaders of their family and tribes or their communities, and they really pushed women aside, right? And they created a new history in terms of leadership. So what happened when they realized this? First of all, they create this patriarchal system, which is very hierarchical, right? And who is the leader of the family? has everything to
Mm-hmm.
say, so nobody can say no to them. And also they kind of created this inheritance rights, because in the like beginning of the history, because they didn't know that who is the father, everybody has to take care of the baby, right? And when the man said, okay, oh wait a minute, I could be the father of this kid or this baby, and I will take care of you and your baby, then you have to follow my rules.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have this kind of land, I have to be sure that this kid is mine, then I can inherit that. It changes everything. So, what do you think? Do you think it is good that men realize this? Or, like, if I think still in our modern world, there are some communities in the world, they take care of the babies as a like a communal
Mm-hmm.
practice. So do you think it's a good thing or bad thing happen in terms of history? I
Yeah.
know it is like hard to say good or bad, but just
Yeah.
like
No, I mean, I think the same thing happened with religion too. That I think, like you say, in prehistory, I think we had medicine women. I think women were seen as being spiritual and a spiritual conduit to the other side, spirits to gods, and what we see with a division of labor, with the creation of a like a priest class, is that they are universally male. And isn't that kind of what the past couple thousand years have been, that that men have tried to keep a monopoly on faith, right? You have to go through me to talk to God, and women play a supporting role at best. So whether it's good, whether it's bad, I don't know. But yeah, uh, clearly it's a big change of the past 10,000 years from prehistory, when, like you say, you look at cave paintings, and you look at some of the clay statues that we find, that are kind of worshiping the fertility of women, and suddenly those things don't exist really for thousands of years. We worship instead the male parts of society, whether that's the male leader or the soldier or the priest.
yeah, I don't want to go to like a psychology or being a Freudian, but like a Freud, maybe in like in deeper side, men know that they don't have that much power and they just want to take it away from women, and they said, "Yeah, okay, maybe you are the why
Mhm.
we are having babies, but I'm the reason, so reason is more important than the."
Yeah, but we've seen that recently. I don't want to mention people's names, but
Yeah.
it's been in the news, where you have these kind of famous men who are part of pop culture, regretting the fact that, oh, dominant masculinity is gone, and the
Yeah.
women have made all the men metrosexuals, and actually women do better when they're in the home taking care of children. So I mean, this is the 21st
Yeah.
century, but that's exactly what it was. The minute you have the baby, you have to breastfeed it, and you can't go out and hunt, so you're tied to the home. And then, and that's, we've created kind of artificially our cultures and societies around that idea. Well, if you've got to be home for, say, like the next 9 months taking care of the baby, then that is your sole role. I mean, even though for places that don't allow women in the workplace. I mean, think about what if you suddenly doubled overnight the number of women in the workplace. Think about the wealth that would accrue to that country. But it's just such a deeply held idea, right? The reason that a lot of Americans were against the Equal Rights Amendment in the United States from the 1970s. It's an attack on family, right? It's an attack on the traditional woman's role. It will actually encourage women to go to work. This has been one of the biggest social, cultural, political, legal forces, I think, through civilization.
Yeah. And it also affect the leadership mindset.
Mm,
There's like men trying to have more authority over women or over like other groups, because there are so many different social events also happened, right? It was not only the women who were like surprised by I mean, is it suppressed,
suppressed.
yeah, by like a male authority, but also when men lead, they always, especially in this time and also in ancient time also, the honor is the most
Hmm.
important thing, right? Oh, if you say something to me, it means that you are saying something negative
Hmm.
about my family or my family honor, and that this bloodline, right?
Hmm.
And everything about this masculinity and their power, it really affected how people see leadership, right? And the expectations shaped around this, because nobody knew that the other way
Hmm.
around. And that's why you mentioned a little bit, but like also men start to control over female reproduction too, right? And all the kids have to be born to help this like farming,
Hmm.
or to create some wealth for the family, not just like, oh, I really love kids, but they are mostly for my like
Yeah,
workforce,
they're like an
right?
asset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then it shaped the marriage,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And maybe if there was not that kind of leadership mindset, we don't have a like a formal marriage tradition, which
Hmm.
I'm happy, so we are married. But like it is also, it
It's
is
true.
coming from inheritance, it is
Yeah.
coming from
To make sure you
re-
know who your children
yeah,
are, what your bloodline is, to make sure, and it's a way, even the marriage ceremony, right? It's a way of kind of tying the two
yeah,
people together, right? The rings, the veil. So yeah, it's a really
yeah,
important development.
yeah, because I want to talk about rituals and cultural things. One of them is
Yeah, it's
marriage,
marriage. Yeah,
and
sure.
also what marriage, like a small scale, shows that, oh, man is the
Hmm.
most powerful individual, right? Then like wife and kids and everything. And in, I think up to like a current time, the idea was same. And then family, like a small scale of society, and the society just followed the same tradition, and the countries and leadership, right?
Hmm.
So again, family was very very important in these times, because people cannot survive alone, right? Everything was very difficult for them, so you have to be with other people. But who defines these terms? Men,
Hmm.
with their leadership. And also men, I think it gave them more power, because they are the ones who decide the resource allocation and
Hmm.
also protection,
Yeah.
right? So, as a historian, you want to add anything about it? We mentioned about like job division, little
Hmm.
bit, like everything, but resource, especially if you think that sometimes they're like they cannot find food, or they
Hmm.
cannot have anything on their farm. So it is very important. Maybe we can just go back to the circle. Maybe you need to have a strong leader to protect these things, not the magician or anything, but
Yeah.
the warrior and intelligent,
Hmm.
like,
Because if you have two tribes, one tribe is going to try to
yeah,
take what the other tribe has. So it maybe not just being intelligent or a magician is enough. You have to be strong and build strength, and you have to
yeah,
project strength to other people, and that those are very masculine
yeah.
ideas as well.
Yeah, I don't know where I read, but just like you can always tell if it is not a correct information. I read that the first war happened because of food. Like one tribe came
Hmm.
and tried to get food from other tribe, and that's the first known war. So it is about resource
Sure.
allocation. And when someone is attacking your food, which means your survival, you cannot ask for help with other people, but you need to have someone strong and, okay, you cannot do
Yeah.
this, give this back to me. And also it affects legal systems, right? This masculinity idea and
Hmm.
being strong. And now we are, sometimes we call it like bullying, but
Hmm.
in those times it's a good thing.
You respect the strong people.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, I think there have been a lot of leaders throughout history, not just in contemporary times, who have mistaken bullying and like bullying language. And I'm thinking about like, Kaiser Wilhelm before the First World War, that they thought that was good leadership. They thought that, being, loud and bullying and belligerent would bend the other people to their will, but actually it just made the other people come together and join alliances
Yeah.
and build up their military. But I think there's a long history of people, men, who think that being a bully is being a good leader.
Yeah, and also we talk about the leadership too, right? What we call it,
Great
great man,
man, yeah,
like not great
yeah.
individual, not great person, great
Because
man
that's, yeah, what the
theory.
history of the past couple thousand
Yeah,
years has been. That's right.
yeah, and up to again to our current time, because we will talk about different historical
Hmm.
periods. It will be the dominant mindset, but we can see that little changes which will affect like bigger
Sure.
social events and social changes. And do you want to add anything else?
No, I
Yeah.
think this has been great. And what's the next episode we're doing?
Yeah, I think we will do the ancient
Ancient.
times,
Okay.
and we will start with Egyptian.
Egypt. Okay. Okay. I'm ready.
Egyptians. So if you wanna
I
sing the
gotta think.
song,
Walk like an Egyptian.
yeah,
I think we'll
you
lose
have
all of
to.
our viewers for after that.
You have to rehearse
Yeah.
before. So yeah, thank you. It was a really nice conversation, and I really like that you picked this like magic and like believing something will help you and heal you, and the way you explained the okay what people wanna have or want to support in the end, something that they see
Hmm.
concretely, right?
Right.
They want to believe, they want to seek help when they need, but at the end of the day, if you show what they can get
Yeah.
and hold their hands, they will go
With
that
you,
way.
right? With a leader
So
who can put food in their stomach and a roof over their head. Yep.
yeah, like you, honey, for
Yes.
your
Right.
family.
All right.
Oh,
As a man.
no. We do the same thing. So thank you, and thank you for everyone watching our episode. It was very fun for me, and we have been together for 21 years, and this is the first
Yes.
time. Okay, this is the first time we do something professionally together.
Yeah.
So it was
True.
very, very good. Okay, we will see you next Wednesday, same time, but we will talk about ancient time period, and we will talk about Egypt, and we will talk about what kind of leadership they have in their times and how their leadership mindset still affecting our current time and current leadership mindset. So until next Wednesday, take care. Bye.
Bye.